I am a little bit behind schedule this week, but my painting streak continues and I finished a sketchbook. I want to talk about how I transitioned from the end of one sketchbook to the start of another one as I show you what I painted last week. We're going to start at the end because this is the last spread in this sketchbook. There is a page of swatches after this, but this is actually how I started this sketchbook. So that's a nice tip for you. Whenever you're starting a sketchbook, if you feel a little intimidated, what if you just swatched some of your materials in the back first to set yourself up for a good resource? But these squirrels, I was really trying to continue on with the theme of kind of gently pushing myself to explore animals, even though they feel scary to me. Very similar to working on those cats in the garden or any of the loose farm animals or horses I've been painting. I'm really feeling just courageous to just kind of take it on. And the main thing I want to share here is this was done in layers. I was actually painting on the couch while watching Top Chef. I find that that really disarms me. And I started just with their base shapes. So these like kind of ochre shapes that outline the entire, shape of the animal or shape of the head. And then on top of that, I layered the white. And at this point in the process, it was looking pretty crazy. Like it looked like I was not doing it correctly, but I just had to trust my vision that layering on top with these really pretty cognac-y colors, this raw sienna sort of colored details and everything, I had a feeling that that would help out. And not all of them are perfect. Like this one, he's supposed to look like he's holding his tail, but it looks like, I don't know, maybe he's eating his tail. This one looks a little rodenty, but still very cute. But that's okay because I really love how I was still able to capture their little stripes and their little bodies. I think this one is really darling, the way he's just standing there with his little paws together. I love this one's face. I actually thought that this would be one that I would mess up on most. And so overall, just a successful page for the final spread of this sketchbook, and I'm glad that I took it on. To start my new sketchbook, I actually decided to just kind of piggyback off of those fish tints that I had painted and showed you last week. I am a professional illustrator, and so I'm often looking for ways to round out my work by having coordinates. And so this was a way for me to explore different coordinates that could work if I were to turn those fish tins into a repeat. This also was trying to push myself to work on more detailed, kind of tiny things. I tend to work so bold and graphically, which honestly may just be my style, I'm not sure. But I wanted to see, what happens if I try to make a cute little delicate little ribbon design to go with these fish tins. And the end result is okay. I really enjoyed working on them, but this is a great example of something that I might take as a concept and improve upon digitally. For example, I think that these fish should be a little bit longer. I think they're a little bit too short. Also, maybe just having most of them blue and just a few pink might work. This looks kind of like a wedding cake in here to me, and that's not the vibe I want. So fun to work on and fun to explore further motifs, but it might be a jumping off point for my professional work. And also, do you see how near the seam I've got some bleeding happening? That usually doesn't happen to me. I was kind of surprised. And I think it's because on this page, normally everything that I've shown you, I've been working with Holbein artist gouache, which is like an opaque watercolor. But for the background of this, I actually used Holbein acrylic gouache or acrylic gouache. They rebranded, which is a similar kind of paint, but it does have that acrylic plasticky bit to it, and so it does cure all the way. And so the reason I did that is because sometimes when I'm painting, I lay my hand or I'll lay my wrist down on something, and I didn't want to lift up the background color. And when I'm painting, when I was painting these lighter pink colors on top or these lighter blues, I didn't want them to bring up that green from the background. And so I painted the background with acrylic gouache first. And I think maybe just that mix, I haven't been using it often. I think maybe I just got it a little bit too watery and it started to soak through on both sides. But that's okay. It's just in the seam. But I thought I'd talk about that in case it's an issue you run into. And finally, the last spread that I've got to show you here are just some loose florals. In fact, they may look a little incomplete to you. They look a little incomplete to me too, and yet I didn't feel inspired to complete them. When I imagined adding little centers to the flowers or final details, I can't explain it. There was just an internal block. In my class, I talk about doorways and walls, and for whatever reason, this page just turned into a wall, and it wasn't a good use of my time to just sit there and stare at it and force myself to finish it. In that instance, I would rather just like feel happy with the page and move on. And even though this may technically be incomplete, there's something very soothing and very complete to me about looking at these shapes and having called it done here. So I think that's good to know that sometimes things may not be complete to others, but what other people think about your work doesn't matter. It's got to feel good to you, and you've got to keep going. So for me to keep going, to not be stopped by this page, I needed to turn the page and start again. So that is everything that I painted last week.